Have you ever found yourself feeling a bit more drained after social interactions than you used to? Maybe it's just that the energy you once had for gatherings, whether they were small chats over coffee or big family celebrations, isn't quite what it used to be. You're not alone in this. As we grow older, things change, and sometimes those changes include our social needs. In fact, a lot of people in their 60s and 70s start noticing that they prefer to keep to themselves more than they did when they were younger. And that's perfectly okay. I'm 70, and I can tell you, I've been avoiding people more and more as I get older. It's not because I don't care about others. On the contrary, it's because I've come to realize just how important it is to preserve my energy, my mental peace, and my overall well-being. So, in this video, I'm going to share with you why I've chosen this path, and how you can take the same approach in a way that works for you, and maybe even help you feel better, more at ease, and more fulfilled in your later years. Now, I'm sure you've heard a lot about the importance of staying social as we age. We're told that keeping up with relationships is good for our health and our happiness. But sometimes, the pressure to be constantly social can be overwhelming, especially when it starts to drain us. So, let's talk about that. In this first part, I want to dive into the reasons why we sometimes feel like stepping back from social situations, and how doing so can actually be a positive, empowering choice. Let's get started by looking at one of the first reasons I've found myself pulling back from people: energy conservation. You see, as we age, our energy levels aren't what they used to be. And I don't just mean physically, although that's certainly part of it. I mean mentally and emotionally, too. Our brains, like the rest of our bodies, require a lot more effort to recharge. After a long day of talking with friends or family, I find that I need time to myself to replenish. I think this is a big part of why many of us start feeling less inclined to socialize as we get older. It's almost like a battery running low. And you've got to decide how to spend your energy. Do you want to pour it into every invitation and social engagement that comes your way? Or do you want to be more selective and save that energy for the moments that truly matter to you? For me, the answer has become clear. I choose to invest my energy where it feels most rewarding, rather than feeling obligated to constantly say yes to every request to be around people. But it's not just about energy, it's also about peace of mind. The older I get, the more I realize how important it is to maintain a sense of inner calm. And honestly, some social interactions, while they may seem harmless on the surface, can leave me feeling agitated or emotionally drained. Small talk, for example, can be exhausting after a while. It doesn't provide that deeper connection I crave. And let's be honest, at our age, we've lived through so many experiences that sometimes, chatting about the weather or the latest TV show just doesn't seem all that fulfilling anymore. I know it's not always easy to accept that this need for quiet is a normal part of getting older. In our younger years, we were always on the go, meeting people, going to parties, running from one thing to the next. But as I've gotten older, I've started to realize that it's okay to let go of those social expectations. And by doing so, I've found that my mental clarity improves, my stress levels decrease, and my overall happiness has increased. Now, I'm not suggesting you completely shut yourself off from the world. Far from it. There's still joy to be found in spending time with close friends and family. But it's about knowing when to say no, when to take a step back, and when to honor your need for solitude and peace. Let's take a moment and think about the people who matter most in your life. Do you feel like you can be yourself around them? Or do you sometimes feel the need to put on a mask and pretend? The truth is, sometimes socializing with people we don't have that deeper connection with can feel like a performance. And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of performing. I want authentic, meaningful relationships. That's what I've realized is most important as I get older. And this brings me to another point: the joy of enjoying your own company. It's something I've learned to embrace more and more. There's something incredibly freeing about being comfortable alone. When I'm by myself, I can read, write, or simply reflect on my day without feeling like I'm missing out on anything. The constant buzz of social obligations fades away, and I can focus on what truly brings me peace. It's a shift in mindset. Instead of thinking of being alone as lonely or sad, I now think of it as a gift. It's an opportunity to reconnect with myself, to listen to what my mind and body need, and to recharge in a way that feels right for me. And let's not forget, there are so many things I can do by myself that bring me joy. Whether it's taking a walk in nature, diving into a good book, or exploring a new hobby, I've realized that being alone doesn't have to mean being lonely. Now, you might be wondering, but what about my friends and family? Shouldn't I be more involved with them? That's a great question, and I'll dive into that in just a moment. But before we move forward, let me ask you, have you ever thought about how much of your energy is spent pleasing others, saying yes when you really want to say no? It's something I've really reflected on as I've gotten older, and it's a big part of why I've decided to step back a bit from social situations. Now that we've talked about energy conservation and the peace of solitude, let's explore another important reason why I've chosen to avoid people more these days. And that's the matter of emotional health. But we'll get into that in the next part. As we dive deeper into this, I want to talk about something I've noticed more as I've gotten older: emotional health. It's become incredibly important to me, and I've found that avoiding certain social situations has been a way of protecting that health. At this stage in life, I've learned that not every relationship, not every social interaction, is worth the emotional energy it demands. And sometimes, those interactions can bring stress, frustration, or even sadness that outweigh the benefits of being around others. Have you ever been in a conversation where, no matter how hard you try, it just feels draining? Maybe someone's complaining about their problems, or there's a lot of negativity in the air. I used to feel compelled to sit through these situations because, well, it's what we're supposed to do, right? Be polite, be supportive, and keep the conversation going. But as I've gotten older, I've learned that it's okay to step away from those situations. In fact, protecting your emotional health by choosing your interactions carefully is one of the most important things you can do as you age. I've also realized that I don't need to be around people who don't bring me joy. When you reach your 70s, you start to get a much clearer sense of what really matters to you. And for me, that means not wasting time or energy on relationships that are not fulfilling. This doesn't mean I've cut off all my friends and family, not at all. But I've learned to be more selective about who I spend time with. For example, when a situation feels like it's going to drain me, I ask myself, will this make me feel good in the long run? Will I gain something from this interaction, or will I leave feeling exhausted or frustrated? If the answer is the latter, I now feel much more comfortable politely declining or choosing to leave early. It's about protecting my emotional space. And let me tell you, it's incredibly freeing. Once I started being more mindful about where I spent my emotional energy, I began to feel lighter. I could focus more on the people who truly uplift me, the ones who share my values, who make me laugh, and who bring a sense of calm into my life. These are the people who deserve my time. The others, well, I've learned it's okay to say no to. Now, this doesn't mean I've stopped valuing human connection altogether. Far from it. In fact, I've come to appreciate the moments I do spend with people who bring positive energy into my life even more. But it's about quality over quantity. As I've gotten older, I've realized that I don't need a big circle of friends or constant social events to feel fulfilled. What I need is genuine connection, and that's something that's become increasingly important as I step back from more superficial social engagements. And it's not just about the people you choose to spend time with, but also about the places you go and the activities you engage in. I've learned that I don't have to attend every family gathering, every community event, or every social function. I can be selective about where I invest my time. For instance, I've stopped attending events that feel like obligations rather than things I actually enjoy. Instead, I focus on the ones that truly bring me joy, like intimate dinners with close family or small get-togethers with friends who share my interests. That being said, I also recognize that human connection is vital. We all need some form of companionship, whether that's with family, friends, or even pets. The key is finding the right balance. Too much socializing can wear you out, but too little can lead to loneliness. It's about striking a balance that feels good to you. But here's the thing, as we age, we start to realize that loneliness doesn't always come from being alone. It often comes from feeling disconnected or misunderstood by the people around us. And when we focus on nurturing the right relationships, the ones that bring us true joy, we're much more likely to avoid that feeling of isolation. So, while I avoid people more now, it's not about withdrawing from life, it's about living it on my own terms. I've learned that solitude doesn't mean being lonely, and being selective about my social engagements doesn't mean I'm turning my back on relationships. It means I'm choosing quality over quantity. And that, I believe, is one of the most valuable lessons I've learned as I've gotten older. Now that we've talked about the emotional benefits of choosing solitude, let's look at another important factor that influenced my decision to step back from social situations: mental clarity. As we age, our mental well-being becomes more important than ever. But that's something I'll dive into in the next part. As we continue this conversation about choosing to avoid people more as we age, I want to address something that's really been on my mind: mental clarity. When I was younger, I could handle a fast-paced life with social engagements, work, and everything else thrown in. I could juggle it all. But now, at 70, I've come to appreciate the importance of mental space and clarity. I've learned that protecting my mind from unnecessary stress and distractions is crucial to maintaining my well-being. The more I've reduced my exposure to situations that drain me, the clearer my mind has become. For example, there used to be days when I'd feel mentally foggy after a long, busy week filled with socializing. I'd leave a gathering feeling like my brain was full of noise, trying to process conversations, emotions, and events that had no real importance in my life. Now, I've learned that it's okay to take a step back, to clear that mental clutter, and to give myself permission to rest my mind. Mental clarity doesn't just come from rest, though. It also comes from simplifying my life. As I've gotten older, I've realized that I don't need to be involved in every conversation, every event, or every problem that others may bring to me. Sometimes, people's issues or the drama around them can cloud your thinking and take up mental energy that could be better used elsewhere. I've found that stepping back from these situations helps me maintain a clear perspective. I can focus on what truly matters to me: my health, my hobbies, and the things that bring me peace. I'll be honest, it wasn't always easy to stop trying to please everyone or to be everywhere I was expected to be. But once I realized that my mental clarity was more important than fulfilling social obligations, I felt a weight lifted. I could breathe easier, think clearer, and really tune into my own thoughts and needs. This has made a huge difference in how I approach each day. And when I do choose to engage with others, it's with a clear, calm mind, making my interactions more meaningful and enjoyable. And there's another aspect of this whole process that I can't ignore: self-reflection. As I've spent more time alone, I've found that it gives me the space to reflect on my life, my choices, and my feelings. I've learned so much about myself during these quieter moments. It's almost like a mental reset button. By having time to myself, I can assess where I am in life, what I still want to achieve, and what I'm truly passionate about. This self-awareness has helped me become more at peace with who I am and where I am in my journey. Another important thing I've realized is that avoiding people doesn't mean cutting yourself off from everything. There are still people I want to be around, the ones who share my interests, who support me, and who make me feel good about myself. It's not about isolation, it's about intentionality. It's about making sure that when I do choose to interact with others, it's on my terms. And those terms are simple: I want to feel energized and uplifted by the people I spend time with. I don't want to waste my time with those who leave me feeling drained or discouraged. I know it might sound strange, especially in a world where we're often told to stay social or make connections. But let me tell you, the best connection you can make is with yourself. Once you're at peace with being alone, you'll find that the right people will naturally enter your life, and the ones who truly belong will stick around. I've found that my happiness doesn't depend on how many people I know or how often I'm out and about. My happiness comes from knowing that I've taken the time to take care of myself, physically, emotionally, and mentally. I've learned to embrace the beauty of solitude, the power of selective socializing, and the importance of maintaining clarity in my life. To wrap this all up, I just want to remind you that it's okay to take a step back, to avoid social situations that don't serve you, and to prioritize your own well-being. In fact, it's more than okay, it's necessary. As we age, we get to choose how we want to live our lives. We no longer have to live up to other people's expectations or conform to societal pressures. We can create our own path, filled with peace, clarity, and meaningful connections. Remember, it's not about being alone. It's about knowing who you are, what you need, and what brings you joy. As we get older, we don't have to follow the same patterns that society has set for us. We can choose a life that makes us feel whole and content. And if that means stepping back from the hustle and bustle of socializing, then that's perfectly fine. It's your life, your journey, and your peace of mind, and that's what truly matters. Thank you for taking the time to watch this. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Do you find yourself feeling like you need more solitude as you age? How do you approach socializing at this stage of your life? I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content on living your best life at any age. Here's to your happiness, health, and peace of mind.